Hello, welcome to Anacursus, where we provide you with your pickup into music theory. My name is Kathy, and today I'll be teaching AMEB Theory of Music Grade 2, Lesson 3, Minor Scales. In this lesson, you will learn the definition of a natural and harmonic minor scale in tones and semitones, and you will use accidentals in a minor scale. In the exam, you will be expected to write minor scales given a set of parameters. To follow along with this video, make sure you have a pencil, eraser, and manuscript paper, or use digital notation software. Now, remember you know the key signature of 8 scales now. C major and A minor, G major and E minor, F major and D minor, D major and A major. These 2 new ones, as well as the relative minors, were covered in the last video. So, to talk about minors, I will start with A minor. Let's try and notate A minor together. So first, it is important to note that unlike a major scale, there are different forms of minor scales. To notate a natural minor, I will use its key signature, which is no sharps and no flats, so I don't need to add any key signature here. I'll start on the first scale degree, A, and then travel up an octave until I reach the A again. Let's listen to what that sounds like. So, if you've played minor scales before, you may have noticed that this sounds a little different to what you're used to. That's because the most common form of A minor is a harmonic minor. Harmonic minors are also the only types of minor scales that you'll be expected to know in grade 2. The only difference between a harmonic minor and a natural minor notated here is that you must raise the 7th note. To do this, you add a sharp. So that G becomes G sharp because it's the 7th scale degree. Let's listen to what that sounds like. Now let's try a question together. Here's the question. Remember in natural minors to follow the key signature of their relative major and to raise the note of the 7th scale degree. Pause the video now to try this for yourself. Let's work through this question together. Remember, D is the relative minor of F major. This means there is 1 flat in the key signature. Let's add that there. Next, since it is descending, 1 octave going down, I will notate the D in the higher octave. And then I will write the scale down in 1 octave. Note how I am using semibriefs. Since I know it's a harmonic minor scale, I must raise the 7th scale degree. So I put a sharp next to C. Remember, the scale degree is the number of the note in the scale and is counted from the bottom. So this is not the 2nd, but this is the 7th scale degree. I'll raise this with a sharp. Let's listen to what that sounds like. Great. Now let's go back to our A harmonic minor example. Here below is the A major scale. I'm going to play the minor first and then the major. Let's listen to the difference in how they sound. This is the minor. And this is the major. Did the minor one sound more sad to you while this major one was more happy? That's usually what people agree with. Minor scales sound sadder because they have a completely different pattern of tones and semitones to major scales. Can you recall the tones and semitones pattern for major scales? Remember the pattern tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. You can do this by inspection as well, by looking between each note. So I know from A to B, that is one tone. I'm going to mark the tones first. I also know that B to C sharp is a tone. Now, what about C sharp to D? This is not a tone, this is a semitone. D to E is definitely a tone. E to F sharp, that's also a tone. F sharp to G sharp, that is also a tone. And finally, G sharp to A is a semitone. So when completed, this should look like this. Tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. This is the pattern for major scales. Let's do the same for the A harmonic minor scale. Here. Can you identify the semitones? Notice now there's no key signature. Rather, there's no flats and sharps because it's the key signature of C major and A minor. So here, the semitones are between B and C and E and F. And finally, because of that raised seventh, the G sharp and the A. I'm going to quickly put some labels on this. This can pretty much be generalized. Semitones in minor scales are between the second and third, fifth and sixth, and seventh and eighth scale degrees. Now, tones are a bit more tricky in minor scales. Let's mark in the tones of A harmonic minor. So we know that A to B is a tone. We also know that C to D is a tone. D to E is also a tone. But we notice something a little bit weird here. If you look between F and G sharp, that is definitely not a tone. Rather, there are 3 semitones between F and G sharp. If you think about it, it's F, F sharp, G, and G sharp. So that's 3 semitones. This is not a tone or a semitone. Rather, it's something called, we can refer to as a tone and a half. Or, for the sake of labeling, it can be called a T plus S. Because remember, a tone is 2 semitones, so 3 semitones in between the F and the G sharp. In summary, there are only 3 tones here in minor scales, 3 semitones, and 1 tone and a half. The pattern can be remembered as tone, semitone, tone, tone, semitone, tone and a half, semitone. Let's put this into practice. Here. Try this question yourself and pause the video. Now, let's approach this question together. Remember, semitones in minor scales are between the second and third, fifth and sixth, and seventh and eighth scale degrees. So let's mark those in. Now, either through examining the notes or remembering the pattern, you can tell that E to F sharp, G to A, and A to B are all tones. So let's mark those in. Finally, between the 6th and the 7th degree, you have C to D sharp. That is 3 semitones, or a tone and a half. So we put T plus S. To name the scale, let's look at the key signature. So there's one sharp, which means that it must be of G major. Now the relative minor of G major is E minor, and you can also tell this because the starting note is on E. Starting and ending notes are on E. So this scale is the E harmonic minor scale. Let's hear what this sounds like. Now, harmonic minor scales can be written in two ways. First, with the key signature, where the raised 7th does not go in the key signature. So you can see that here. You have the key signature given to you, and the raised 7th is here as an accidental. However, if you were to write harmonic minor scales with accidentals instead of the key signature, it'll look a little something like this. This is the exact same E harmonic minor scale. However, the F sharp that was once here is now in the F sharp as an accidental. In grade 2, with the relative minors that you know, this means there will be a maximum of 1 accidental for the key signature and 1 for the raised 7th. So in your grade 2 harmonic minor scales, you should have 2 accidentals in them. However, try not to think about it that way. Try and think about the fact that you have the raised 7th and then the 1 accidental from the key signature. Let's put this into practice. Pause the video now to try this for yourself. Now, you identify that this harmonic minor scale starts on a D, as we're in the bass clef. So the relative major of D harmonic minor is F major. So the key signature is 1 flat. Next, we need to raise the 7th, so we add a C sharp. This would be your completed D harmonic minor scale using the key signature. Let's see what that sounds like. Now let's try the next question. Now, we need to identify that this note is either a C in treble clef or an E in bass clef. If you aren't familiar with reading bass clef, remember the mnemonic, all cows eat grass, for the notes between the lines. So that's A, C, E, G in a bass clef. So, because we need to make this an E harmonic minor, then we add the bass clef. Next, you need to figure out what accidentals to add. So, the relative major of E harmonic minor is G major, which means 1 F sharp accidental. So, we add that F sharp accidental in. But you mustn't forget, you also need to raise the 7th. So, we add a sharp to the D. You'll notice that the software does this automatically, but when you have all these notes in one bar and repeating notes are of the same octave, you don't need to add the accidental sign to both of them. Rather, the accidental carries for that entire note throughout the bar from when that accidental is placed. So if there was hypothetically only an accidental on this note, whereas this was the D natural, then this would suffice. However, by putting the D sharp here, both these notes are D sharp. Correction, F sharp. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching Anacrusis Music Theory. If you have any questions, join our Discord server for live assistance from your teachers. Check out our website for more do-it-yourself practice questions, and subscribe for more content like this. We hope you have enjoyed your pickup into music theory.